I don't remember falling. I remember thinking, this is it, and then nothing. When I woke up, someone said, "Sir, can you hear me?" I whispered, "Am I dead?" A man replied, "No, you're in the hospital." I opened my eyes. White ceiling. Beeping machines. I asked, "Why am I here?" He said, "You collapsed outside your house." I laughed softly. Figures. He asked, "Do you feel dizzy?" I said, "I feel empty." He frowned. "Any pain?" I answered, "Only everywhere." He checked my pulse. "You're lucky." I asked, "Lucky how?" He said, "You didn't hit your head too hard." I closed my eyes. I wish I had. He paused. "That's not funny." I said, "I wasn't joking." He sighed. "Try to rest." When he turned away, a thought hit me hard. "The market crashes tomorrow," I muttered. He looked back. "What?" I shook my head. "Nothing." He left. Silence wrapped around me. Then another thought came. Crosstech stock will fall by noon. I sat up. Why do I know that? My heart raced. This is stress, I told myself. This is shock. I laughed. I'm losing my mind. A voice inside me whispered, "Check." I said, "Shut up." The voice replied, "You already know." I grabbed my phone. "Just curiosity," I said. I opened a finance app. The numbers stared back. "Not yet," I whispered. I waited. Minutes passed. Then alerts exploded. Market plunges. My breath caught. "No," I said. "No way." The voice said, "Again." I searched another name. Lonell Industries. I whispered, "Scandal breaks in 3 days." My hands shook. "This isn't possible." The voice asked, "Isn't it?" I said, "I'm not special." The voice replied, "You're awake." I dropped the phone. "Stop," I said. "Please stop." A nurse entered. "Sir, you shouldn't be sitting up." I looked at her. "What day is it?" She said, "Tuesday." I swallowed. "What year?" She smiled. "You hit your head, but not that hard." I asked again. She answered, "The year hasn't changed." I whispered, "But the future did." She frowned. "Excuse me." I shook my head. "Sorry." She adjusted the drip. "Try to relax." I asked, "Do people ever wake up different?" She paused. "Trauma changes people." I said, "What if it changes time?" She laughed lightly. "Get some sleep." When she left, the voice returned. "You're afraid." I said, "Anyone would be." It replied, "Because you know." I whispered, "This feels wrong." The voice asked, "Or right?" I covered my face. "I don't want this." The voice said, "You already have it." Memories flooded me. Mistakes. Trust. Begging. I whispered, "Was this because I broke?" The voice answered, "Because you did." I laughed bitterly. "A curse," I said. "A cruel joke." The voice replied, "Or a chance." I sat quietly. "What am I supposed to do?" The voice said, "Stop begging." I remembered Lena's words. I clenched my jaw. "Never again." The doctor returned. "Your vitals are stable." I asked, "Can I leave?" He said, "Against advice." I nodded. "I need air." He studied me. "Are you safe?" I said, "I will be." He hesitated. "Sign here." I signed. Outside, the world looked the same. That terrified me more. "Nothing changed," I whispered. The voice replied, "Except you." I walked slowly. "If this is real," I said, "I won't waste it." The voice asked, "On revenge?" I shook my head. "On survival." I stopped and looked at the sky. "I won't beg any more," I said. The voice smiled inside me. "Good." I breathed deeply. "If this is a second chance," I whispered, "I'll choose myself." Fear still lived in my chest, but something stronger rose beside it. Resolve. I stepped forward, knowing tomorrow before it arrived. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the ceiling. The voice inside me whispered again, "Her name." I groaned. "Not yet. Not her." It insisted, "Evelyn Cross." I laughed bitterly. "A billionaire? Me?" The voice said, "You know her future." I clenched my fists. "Do I have to?" It said, "You want control, don't you?" I muttered, "Control, maybe." My phone buzzed. I ignored it. I whispered, "Why her?" The voice replied, "She falls. You know when. You know how." I shook my head. "Am I cruel for thinking about it?" The voice answered, "You already survived cruelty." I pressed my palms to my face. "I don't want to be like them." The voice asked, "Who?" I whispered, "People who betray, people who abandon." It said, "Do you want her to trust you?" I hesitated. Yes. No, maybe just to survive. I paced. "I can't manipulate her. That's evil." The voice said, "Knowledge isn't evil. Use it wisely." I muttered, "How do I even start?" The voice replied, "Prepare. Study. Wait." I sat again. "But what if I fail?" The voice said, "Then you fail smarter." I laughed. "Smarter, easier said than done." I whispered, "I shouldn't even want this." It said, "You want your life back." I clenched my jaw. "True." I asked aloud, "But is it fair?" The voice said, "Life isn't fair. You adapt." I ran a hand through my hair. "She's not just some name. She's a person." The voice replied, "Exactly. That's why you must be careful." I thought of her image in my mind. Sharp eyes, cold smile, power that could crush anyone. "She's untouchable," I muttered. The voice said, "Until you help her." I whispered, "Help her, or take advantage?" It replied, "Help first." I exhaled. "I can't let ambition blind me." The voice said, "It already has, once. Remember Lena?" I winced. "I'll be different." "Words," it said. "Actions count." I nodded. "Fine. I need a plan." I whispered, "Step 1, gather intel." It asked, "How?" I said, "Study her company, her moves, her vulnerabilities, carefully." The voice said, "Don't just watch. Understand." I sighed. "Understand? Her world." I looked out the window. "She's powerful, distant, probably doesn't trust easily." It replied, "Exactly." I muttered, "How do I make her see me without seeming like a user?" The voice said, "By saving her before she knows she needed saving." I laughed softly. "Sounds impossible." It said, "Everything begins impossible." I paced again. "And if I fail? If I'm caught?" The voice said, "Then you learn. Then you adjust." I whispered, "I won't beg anyone again. Ever." It said, "Good. That's the first rule." I looked at the papers on my desk. I can't just throw money at her. That's what everyone else does. The voice said, "You don't have to." I asked, "Then what?" It replied, "Timing, knowledge, patience." I whispered, "Timing, knowledge, patience. I can do that." I ran my fingers over the envelope from the foreclosure notice. "I lost everything, but not everything." The voice said, "Exactly. You can rebuild." I muttered, "With her." It said, "With her help, perhaps. Or without her. But she is the first step." I clenched my fists. "Step 1. Step 1. I'll plan carefully." The voice asked, "Will you be ruthless?" I shook my head. "Ruthless like Lena?" "Never." It said, "Then you'll succeed differently." I whispered, "I'll survive. I'll control my life." The voice said, "Good. Begin now." I opened my laptop and typed her name, Evelyn Cross. Emails, news, company filings, interviews. Each detail sharpened my plan. I whispered, "I won't fail. I won't beg. I'll do this my way." The voice replied, "And that is how you start." I leaned back. Cold, distant, powerful, but vulnerable. I see it now. The voice said, then remember it. I whispered, I won't forget. I shut the laptop. Tomorrow, I start my preparation. Carefully, wisely. The voice said, and never forget why. I said aloud, because I want my life back. Silence fell. For the first time in days, I felt something flicker inside me. Hope. Not for love. Not for revenge. But for control. Step 1, I whispered. And I won't lose again. I walked into the skyscraper lobby, my heart hammering. I muttered, just steady, stay steady. The receptionist asked, Mr. Hayes? I nodded. Here to see Ms. Cross. She hesitated, then pressed a button. She'll see you now. I walked down the hall, hands trembling. I whispered, I can do this. The office door opened. Evelyn Cross stood there, sharp, cold, calculating. She said, Mr. Hayes, right on time. I smiled faintly. I like punctuality. She raised an eyebrow. Do you like surprises? I swallowed. Depends on the kind. She gestured for me to sit. I said, thank you. She looked at me. Why are you here? I took a deep breath. I know something that could affect your company. She laughed lightly. Do you now? I said, yes. A scandal will hit Crosstech in 3 days. She frowned. How could you possibly know that? I hesitated. I have insights, analysis, predictions. She smirked. Predictions? Bold of you. I said, I'm not asking you to trust me blindly. She crossed her arms. Then why are you here? I leaned forward. Because I can help prevent it. She paused. And what's in it for you? I whispered. Survival, in a way. She laughed. I'm intrigued. Keep talking. I explained the steps, careful to reveal just enough. If you delay the merger by 48 hours and adjust your PR release, the scandal loses traction. Otherwise, you'll see a $40 million loss. She tilted her head. That's very specific. I said, because it's real. You need to act now. She frowned. And you expect me to trust a stranger? I said, I'm not asking you to trust me, just to act. Her assistant peeked in. Ms. Cross, do you want me to verify? She waved him off. No. I want to hear more. I whispered, thank you. Evelyn leaned back. And what do you want in return? I swallowed. Protection, stability, and partnership. She raised an eyebrow. Partnership. I nodded. A contract, temporary. You agree to certain terms. I help prevent the disaster. She laughed, sharp. Terms? You're bold, Mr. Hayes. I said, I have no illusions about what this is. She studied me. And what makes you think I would agree? I leaned closer. Because you need it. And I know you won't find another solution in time. Silence stretched. I whispered, I can be precise. Calculated. Nothing reckless. She frowned. I still don't trust you. I said, then let me prove it. Step 1, adjust the merger. Step 2, prepare your statement. Step 3, wait for the results. That's it. She leaned back. And after? I hesitated. After, we negotiate terms. Her assistant cleared his throat. She ignored him. Negotiation or control? I smiled faintly. Control of my life. Not yours. She narrowed her eyes. Interesting. I whispered, I'm not here to play games. She said, yet it feels like a game. I said, because I'm careful. Every move measured. She tilted her head. And if I walk away? I whispered, then the scandal happens. You lose 40 million. You still survive, but it's messy. She paused, eyes sharp. And if I agree? I said, we prevent disaster. You gain control. I gain survival. She stood. And the terms? I pulled a folder from my bag. Outlined here. Contract marriage, temporary, legal protection for both parties, equal stakes in decision-making. She studied it. Marriage. I whispered, yes. Not love. Not romance. A strategic move. She laughed low. You're audacious. I said, desperate, maybe. But honest. She paced. And why should I trust you? I met her gaze. Because I can't lie about what I know. You'll see results first. She paused. And the duration? I said, until the threat passes, or we renegotiate. She smirked. Sounds simple. I whispered, simple if we follow it. She turned sharply. I agree. My chest clenched. You do, she said. I have no other choice. You act quickly. That's enough for me. I exhaled. Thank you. She glanced at the folder. Sign here. And here. I pulled a pen, hands steady now. Done. She studied me. And if you fail, I whispered, then I've failed my own life. She smirked. I see determination. Don't waste it. I closed the folder. I won't, she said. You understand this is temporary? I nodded. I do. And I'll honor it. Her assistant appeared. Ms. Cross, I'll notify the board. She said, make it quick. No leaks. I said, understood. She looked at me. Remember, Mr. Hayes, this is not friendship. It's necessity. I smiled faintly. I understand perfectly. She added, don't overstep boundaries. I whispered, I won't. She paused, eyes piercing. You're clever and bold. Don't ruin it. I nodded. I won't. I need this as much as you do. Silence hung. Then she said, good. You may leave. I stood, heart pounding. Thank you, Ms. Cross. She waved, dismissive. I walked out, feeling the weight of the contract. My pen's ink dried like blood on my survival. There was no turning back. I walked through the lobby, my briefcase heavy but my mind steady. I muttered, quiet now, focus. A flash of movement caught my eye. Lena. Of course. Her hair tied back, eyes scanning the room. She didn't see me at first. I whispered, she hasn't changed. My phone buzzed. I ignored it. She laughed softly at something her new partner said. I swallowed. Mocking me already. I let her watch. Let her think I was still vulnerable. I muttered, patience. Her partner nudged her. She glanced up. Our eyes met. A flicker of recognition. She froze. I whispered, yes, it's me. She smiled, forced. Well, if it isn't Mr. Hayes. I said calmly, hello, Lena. She laughed, nervous. You look different. I said, I've had time. She asked, time for what? I shrugged. To rebuild. She smirked. Rebuild? After everything? I whispered, everything has consequences. Her partner frowned. Who's he? She asked quickly. I said, someone you used to know. She laughed lightly. Used to know? That's funny. I said, funny how? She replied, because I expected you gone. Forgotten. I leaned against the wall. Gone? Maybe. Forgotten? Never. She bit her lip. You're different. I whispered, yes. Calmer. Stronger. Quieter than revenge. She asked, quieter? That suits you. I said, power doesn't shout. She laughed, uneasy. Power, I continued, is patient. She glanced at her partner. He's intimidating. I said, no, just present. She whispered, you always were too soft. I said, soft gets broken. Quiet gets control. She frowned. You're rich now. I shrugged. Financially stable. Not rich enough to buy loyalty. She laughed, bitter. I thought this would be temporary. That you'd fade. I said, fading is for those who beg. She whispered, You survived without me? I nodded. I survived myself. Her partner asked, Are you safe now? I smiled faintly. Safer than before. Stronger than before. Lena laughed softly. Stronger. Yet I can still see it in your eyes. Pain. I said, pain teaches. Regret doesn't. She whispered, Do you hate me? I said, Hate doesn't serve me. Lessons do. She asked, Lessons or revenge? I smiled faintly. Neither. Observation. She frowned. Observation. I said, watching consequences unfold. Quietly. Her partner glanced at her, confused. You knew I'd see you. I whispered, Of course. She laughed nervously. You're relentless. I said, I'm focused. She whispered, Focused on what? I said calmly, On surviving. On thriving. Not on you. She stepped closer. You don't miss me. I shrugged. Missing is a luxury I can't afford. She whispered, You've changed everything, how? I smiled faintly. I adapted. Her partner asked, Adapted how? I said, By controlling what I can. Ignoring what I can't. She laughed bitterly. You make it sound easy. I said, Easy isn't the point. Effective is. She paused. And me. I whispered, You'll see your choices in time. She looked at me, unsettled. Choices? What do you mean? I said calmly, Time has a way of showing consequences. She swallowed. You're terrifying. I shrugged. Not terrifying. Just prepared. She asked softly, Will you confront me? I shook my head. No need. Silence tells the story. Her partner frowned. What story? I whispered. One she'll realize too late. She bit her lip. I didn't expect this. I said, Expectation is weak. Preparation is strong. She whispered, You always had potential. I said, Potential wasted is meaningless. I acted. Her partner looked at me curiously. Acted how? I whispered, By not begging. By not pleading. By surviving. She laughed softly, bitterly. And yet, you're still kind. I said, Kindness isn't weakness. It's strategy. She frowned. Strategy. You make it sound noble. I said, It is. Quietly, without spectacle. She whispered, And me. I said, You'll watch from afar like now. She looked away. And you? What do you want? I said calmly, To live. To rebuild. To never be powerless again. She swallowed. I see it now. I whispered, Good. That clarity is yours alone. She glanced at her partner. We should go. I said, Of course. She walked away, uncertain, leaving her partner behind. I muttered, Let them wonder. Let her doubt eat her alive. Silence returned. My chest felt lighter. My steps steadier. I whispered, Quiet power is stronger than loud revenge. I smiled faintly. And I will never forget why. I sat across from Evelyn at the kitchen table, coffee cooling between us. I muttered, You never sleep, do you? She looked up, eyes tired but sharp. Sleep is wasted time, she said. I frowned. Even now, at midnight. She shrugged. The world doesn't stop because you want rest. I whispered, And what about your heart? She raised an eyebrow. My heart. What about it? I said quietly, Does it ever ache? She leaned back. Pain is inefficient. Emotion clouds judgment. I muttered, But people aren't all business. She stared at me. People are predictable if you study them enough. I said, And yet you hide behind walls. She laughed softly. Walls protect. I whispered, Or isolate. She asked sharply, Do you trust me? I paused. I'm trying to. But it's hard. She frowned. Hard. Why? I said, Because I wonder if I'm using you, or if you're using me. She tilted her head. And I whispered, I don't know anymore. She sipped her coffee. You think survival should be simple? I said. It's never simple. She leaned forward. Then why complain? I muttered. Because I feel it, guilt. She frowned. Guilt? For what? I said. For needing you. For the contract. For revenge that might have made me cruel. She paused. Revenge? I whispered. I wanted to see justice, but now, she tilted her head. Now, I said quietly, now I wonder if it cost me empathy. She stared. Empathy is weakness. I said sharply, or strength. Depends on who uses it. She laughed softly. You sound conflicted. I muttered. I am. I wanted control, and now I feel chained. She frowned. Chains are illusions if you know your steps. I whispered. Steps. I'm losing track. She asked. Of what? I said. Of who I am. Of who I want to be. She leaned back, eyes distant. People are shadows of choices. I whispered. Then I fear I've become a shadow. She studied me. Or you're awake to what shadows teach. I frowned. I don't want to be what I hate. But, she asked. But what? I said quietly, using knowledge, manipulating circumstances. Am I still me? She sipped her coffee. You choose your own definition. I muttered. I thought survival meant control. Now it feels like a cage. She frowned. A cage you built yourself. I whispered, and I hold the key, but it weighs too much. She laughed softly. Heavy keys teach patience. I shook my head. Or regret. She tilted her head. Regret doesn't help if you learn from it. I said quietly, I'm learning, too late maybe. She stared at me. Then you've already begun. I muttered. I see your scars now, Evelyn. Not the armor, but the wounds underneath. She paused. And you think I hide? I said. Not hide, survive. Same as me. She asked. And what do you feel? I whispered. Conflicted. Guilty. Powerful. Weak. All at once. She studied me. Emotions are data. Interpret them wisely. I said sharply, data can betray you if you ignore it. She smirked faintly. And yet, here we are. I muttered. Here we are, bound by choices neither of us wanted fully. She asked, do you regret the contract? I paused. Not yet. But I regret how it changes me. She frowned. How? I whispered. I wanted revenge, control, survival. Now I feel like I'm losing myself in the process. She leaned forward. Maybe that's the point. To see who we truly are when pushed. I muttered. I don't like what I see sometimes. She said softly, then change it. I whispered, change it, without losing the edge. She smiled faintly. Impossible, yet necessary. I ran a hand through my hair. I keep asking myself if I'm better than Lena. If I'm not cruel, not selfish, she said, compare less. Act more. I muttered, acting feels like walking a tightrope. She asked, and falling? I whispered, falling feels inevitable sometimes. She leaned back. Then hold the balance. I said quietly, balance, control, empathy, they all clash. She paused. But you endure. That's enough for now. I muttered. I endure, but at what cost? She asked softly. Does it matter? I whispered. Yes. It matters more than I admit. She studied me. Then consider it a test, not a punishment. I smiled faintly. A test I don't want to fail. She said. You won't. You're awake now. I leaned back, thinking of her words, the weight of my actions, and the cracks I see in her armor. I whispered, maybe surviving doesn't mean winning. She looked at me. Maybe it means knowing the cost. I said softly, and paying it willingly. Silence fell. Midnight pressed against the windows. I sipped my coffee, watching her quietly, realizing that even control can be a burden too heavy for one heart to bear. I walked into my office, the hum of the city below matching my pulse. My phone buzzed. A name flashed. Lena. I didn't answer. I whispered. Silence is louder than anything I could say. Minutes later, another message arrived. Please. I need to talk. I frowned. Talk? After everything? I muttered aloud. You broke it all. You earned this. The phone buzzed again. I made mistakes. Can we meet? I said softly, not today. Not ever. I heard a knock at the door. My assistant poked in. Mr. Hayes, someone from the news wants a comment. I muttered, ignore them. Focus. I sat down, staring at the skyline. Another message. He left me. I'm alone. I whispered, good. Learn what emptiness feels like. My phone buzzed again. My finances are falling apart. I can't breathe. I leaned back. And yet, you wanted to destroy me. A call came in. I let it ring. Lena's voice finally, trembling. Please, don't ignore me. I whispered. I'm not ignoring. I'm watching. She said, I'm scared. Everything's collapsing. I muttered, serves you right. Another text. I never thought it would end like this. I whispered, did you ever think about me? She called again. I didn't pick up. I muttered, every call makes silence stronger. My assistant asked, do you want me to block her? I shook my head. No. Let her see she can't reach me. Another message, I need your help. I whispered, help? You helped yourself to betrayal. This is your lesson. I checked my emails. Press releases about her failing ventures, lawsuits piling up, creditors calling. I muttered, karma doesn't scream. It whispers. Then it hits. My phone buzzed again. I regret everything. Please. I'll do anything. I smiled faintly. Anything, huh? I whispered. Yet nothing undoes the past. I typed a response. No sent. The phone went silent. I muttered, silence is sharper than anger. Another message arrived. I can't survive this alone. I whispered, that's the point. You aren't supposed to survive unscathed. I sipped my coffee. The city moved around me. She texted again, why won't you answer? I whispered, because I'm free. And freedom doesn't yell. Another message, I lost everything because of you. I smiled faintly. No. You lost everything because of yourself. She called again. I let it ring. Do you feel guilty? I whispered, guilt? Only for letting justice be quiet. Another text. I'm begging. Please forgive me. I leaned back. Forgiveness isn't mine to give. You chose your path. Her partner's name appeared in the news, abandoning her empire. I whispered, step by step. The collapse is complete. Another message, I thought I could manipulate you. I said quietly, manipulate? I never moved. You moved yourself. She texted, I can't stop thinking about you. I whispered, that's good. Reflection hurts more than confrontation. Another call came. I ignored it. I muttered, your voice doesn't matter. Your silence does. A news alert popped up. Her company declared bankruptcy. I whispered, everything is falling, just as it should. Another text, please. I'll change. I said softly, change comes too late. She called again. I ignored it. Silence, I whispered. The most piercing sound. I watched the city lights flicker. Another message, I'm nothing without you. I smiled faintly. Exactly. Now you feel what desperation truly is. Another alert. Creditors are seizing assets. I whispered, consequences speak louder than words. She texted, I never imagined this would happen. I muttered, you imagined betrayal. This is reality. Another call. I let it ring. Every ring reminds her she has no control, I whispered. Perfect. Another message. I just wanted you back. I typed one word, no. Sent. Silence. I whispered, that's enough. Let her doubt consume her. Another alert, her social circle turning away. I said quietly, Isolation is quiet karma. She texted, I don't understand. I thought I could fix it. I whispered, fixing requires responsibility. You have none left. Another call. I ignored it. Let her hear the emptiness, I whispered. It's sharper than rage. Another message. I see now. I see what I did. I smiled faintly. Exactly. Recognition too late. The phone went silent. I whispered, silence, restraint, this is power. I leaned back. I'm not desperate anymore. I survived. I endured. I built myself. Another message. I'll never forgive myself. I whispered, nor should you. That's your lesson. I stared at the skyline. Silence filled the room. My chest lightened. My mind clear. I whispered, karma doesn't need shouting. It walks quietly. And today, it has arrived. My phone buzzed again. Lena. I didn't answer. Another message. Please, just hear me out. I whispered, hear you out? After everything. Minutes later, a knock at my door. I opened it. She stood there, trembling, eyes wide. Imtiaz, please, she whispered. I said quietly, what now? She stepped closer. I'm sorry. I didn't know what I had. I shook my head. You did. You just chose differently. She bit her lip. I was wrong. I see that now. I said softly, do you? She whispered, I can't undo it. I lost you. I stepped aside, letting her in. And yet, here you are. She cried softly. I thought I could fix it. I whispered, fixing takes more than words. She sat across from me. I begged, I cheated. I ruined everything. I muttered, you did. She looked at me, desperate. Can we go back? I shook my head. Back doesn't exist. She whispered, I never imagined you'd survive without me. I said softly, I didn't need imagining. I lived. She sobbed. I thought I was your world. I whispered, you were my past. Nothing more. She whispered, nothing. I said, nothing. The part of me that loved you, it's empty now. She choked. Empty. You hate me then? I shook my head. Hate doesn't live here. Only absence. She whispered, absence? I destroyed it. I said, you did. And silence is the consequence. She cried harder. Please. I'll do anything. I whispered, anything isn't enough. She looked at me pleadingly. I can't believe this. I said softly, believe it. I survived. I endured. I moved on. She whispered, and forgiveness? I shook my head. Forgiveness doesn't heal what was lost. Only understanding does. And I understand I can't go back. She whispered, I wanted to make it right. I said, making it right is not my responsibility anymore. She cried, you're cold, cruel. I whispered, I'm free. That's not cruelty. That's peace. She sat silently, trembling. I muttered, you'll feel it eventually. Silence hurts more than shouting. She whispered, I never knew power could feel like this. I said softly, quiet control. Not revenge. Not rage. Just survival. She looked at me, broken. I don't deserve your peace. I whispered, you don't. But you will carry your lessons. Another knock came. My assistant entered. Mr. Hayes, Ms. Cross on the phone. I nodded. Patch her through. Evelyn's voice came, firm but exhausted. We have a problem. The merger, there's a leak. I said softly, I'll handle it. No games this time. She whispered, Are you manipulating me? I shook my head. No. I'm honest. I'm telling you exactly what is. She paused. That's different. I whispered, because I've learned that control without trust isn't power. It's empty. She said softly, I trust you, I said. Then act carefully. Follow the steps I give you. She whispered, I will. I smiled faintly. Good. That's enough. I ended the call. Lena watched me, trembling. I whispered, see? Truth has more weight than deception. She whispered, you've changed. I said softly, I survived. That's the change. She choked on her words. I wanted to hurt you, but now, I muttered, now the hurt is gone. Only peace remains. She whispered, I can't take it back. I nodded. And you don't get to. That's the lesson. She cried softly, I understand. I said, good. Now leave. Go live your consequences. She hesitated. I'm sorry. I whispered, enough. Silence will teach you more than I ever could. She stood, trembling, and walked out. The door closed. I exhaled, chest heavy, yet light. I whispered, no more revenge. No more hunger. Just control of my own life. I turned to the window, city lights below, Evelyn's words echoing in my mind. I muttered, peace, it feels strange. Not weak. Not empty. Stronger than anger. My phone buzzed. I didn't answer. Silence held. I whispered, silence. It's mine now. I sipped my coffee, feeling the emptiness where love once lived replaced by clarity. I whispered, I survived betrayal. I survived power. And I chose myself. The night pressed softly against the glass. I smiled faintly, calm. I whispered, and for the first time, it feels like freedom. I sat alone in my apartment, the city lights spilling across the floor. My phone buzzed. I ignored it. I whispered, no more distractions. Evelyn's voice came over a call later. You're quiet today. I said softly, I've earned the quiet. She paused. You changed. Completely. I whispered, I had to. Survival isn't about knowledge anymore. It's about self. She asked softly, no schemes. I shook my head. None. I act on what I know now, not what I see ahead. Silence. Then she said, and Lena? I smiled faintly. She's learning her lessons. I don't interfere. She whispered, you've grown stronger. I said softly, stronger isn't loud. It's quiet. It's steady. She asked, are you happy? I muttered, happiness isn't the point. Control, peace, clarity, those are enough. She whispered, peace after all this? I nodded. Yes. Peace after betrayal, after power struggles, after loss. It feels real. She paused. And the future? I said calmly, I don't rely on it anymore. I choose it. She whispered, choose. I said, yes. I build my life step by step. No shortcuts, no manipulation. Only me. Silence filled the line. I whispered, for the first time, I feel unshakable. She said softly, you're unbreakable. I nodded. Not because I destroyed others, but because I rebuilt myself. She whispered, rebuilt and forgiven? I shook my head. Forgiveness is unnecessary. Understanding suffices. Another pause. And your heart? She asked. I whispered, it's mine now. Empty of longing, full of clarity. She laughed softly. I never thought I'd hear you say that. I said, it took everything to get here. Betrayal, silence, restraint, all of it. She asked, and Evelyn? I smiled faintly. She's part of this journey. Trust is mutual now, not forced. I help, she acts. Simple and honest. She whispered, you've learned humility and strength. I said softly, yes. Not through victory over others, but through victory over myself. Silence fell. I muttered, I no longer chase the future. I make it. Step by step, choice by choice. She whispered, that sounds free. I nodded. Freedom isn't chaos. It's knowing what matters, ignoring what doesn't, and keeping the pieces that build you up. She paused. You've finally chosen your path. I said quietly, I have. And it's mine alone. Silence lingered. I whispered, no more regrets. No more revenge. Just life as it should be lived. She said softly, and Lena's shadow? I smiled faintly. It fades with distance. Silence teaches her more than words ever could. She whispered, you've outgrown everything that held you back. I nodded. Exactly. And the future isn't forced anymore. I step into it willingly, without fear, without need. She paused. And love? I whispered, love is quiet now, patient and real, not a weapon or a risk. I choose my heart carefully. Another silence. I muttered, I am enough. I have survived. I have learned. I have chosen me. She whispered softly, then the journey ends here. I smiled faintly. It does. And it begins anew, every day, in the life I decide to live. I stood by the window, looking at the city, the skyline soft and steady. I whispered, I didn't win by destroying others. I won by becoming unbreakable. Another pause, quiet, profound. I said softly, and finally, I am whole. I sat alone in my apartment, the city lights spilling across the floor. My phone buzzed. I ignored it. I whispered, no more distractions. Evelyn's voice came over a call later. You're quiet today. I said softly, I've earned the quiet. She paused. You changed. Completely. I whispered, I had to. Survival isn't about knowledge anymore. It's about self. She asked softly, no schemes. I shook my head. None. I act on what I know now, not what I see ahead. Silence. Then she said, and Lena? I smiled faintly. She's learning her lessons. I don't interfere. She whispered, you've grown stronger. I said softly, stronger isn't loud. It's quiet. It's steady. She asked, are you happy? I muttered, happiness isn't the point. Control, peace, clarity, those are enough. She whispered, peace after all this? I nodded. Yes. Peace after betrayal, after power struggles, after loss. It feels real. She paused. And the future? I said calmly, I don't rely on it anymore. I choose it. She whispered, choose. I said, yes. I build my life step by step. No shortcuts, no manipulation. Only me. Silence filled the line. I whispered, for the first time, I feel unshakable. She said softly, you're unbreakable. I nodded. Not because I destroyed others, but because I rebuilt myself. She whispered, rebuilt and forgiven? I shook my head. Forgiveness is unnecessary. Understanding suffices. Another pause. And your heart? She asked. I whispered, it's mine now. Empty of longing, full of clarity. She laughed softly. I never thought I'd hear you say that. I said, it took everything to get here. Betrayal, silence, restraint, all of it. She asked, and Evelyn? I smiled faintly. She's part of this journey. Trust is mutual now, not forced. I help, she acts. Simple and honest. She whispered, you've learned humility and strength. I said softly, yes. Not through victory over others, but through victory over myself. Silence fell. I muttered, I no longer chase the future. I make it. Step by step, choice by choice. She whispered, that sounds free. I nodded. Freedom isn't chaos. It's knowing what matters, ignoring what doesn't, and keeping the pieces that build you up. She paused. You've finally chosen your path. I said quietly, I have. And it's mine alone. Silence lingered. I whispered, no more regrets. No more revenge. Just life as it should be lived. She said softly, and Lena's shadow? I smiled faintly. It fades with distance. Silence teaches her more than words ever could. She whispered, you've outgrown everything that held you back. I nodded. Exactly. And the future isn't forced anymore. I step into it willingly, without fear, without need. She paused. And love? I whispered, love is quiet now, patient and real, not a weapon or a risk. I choose my heart carefully. Another silence. I muttered, I am enough. I have survived. I have learned. I have chosen me. She whispered softly, then the journey ends here. I smiled faintly. It does. And it begins anew, every day, in the life I decide to live. I stood by the window, looking at the city, the skyline soft and steady. I whispered, I didn't win by destroying others. I won by becoming unbreakable. Another pause, quiet, profound. I said softly, and finally, I am whole.